I18. I'm Michael Majid, live from Hollywood, California. And happy Thanksgiving to you and yours out there. This is Thanksgiving week. Once again, with me right now, you know her, you love her, 99 World Cup winner, Saskia Webber. And the reason that we're talking Thanksgiving this week is because we're going to be talking all about goalkeepers giving back and young goalkeepers, providing missions out there to, help make improvements in the game, off the field, on the field. And to help us with that right now, we have the one and only host of Keep the Game Beautiful podcast, the very amazing and incredible young goalkeeper, Anna Tuuri. Anna, thanks for joining. Oh, Tuuri. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you said it right.
Okay, Anna Tuuri. Anna, thanks for joining us, and thank you for providing Stan Anderson in your virtual background, because you can't get enough of Stan.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and it's a pretty nice picture. I'm kind of there.
I love how she's leaning over.
Oh my gosh. Now, before we got on the air, before we get into this, Anna, Saskia just said, speaking of Thanksgiving, she's got to share some stories that she just had recently.
Well, it wasn't really. It was. I got out to practice today, and the women at UCLA trained before the men. And Juan, who we absolutely love, and we love everything he has to do with UCLA, as well as amazing goalkeeper coach, as well as with beach soccer and stuff. He comes out and he has these glasses. Has anybody seen this? So they're these virtual glasses, literally like sunglasses. And you put them on and you can press a button on the side and it starts like going black, and then on, black on, black on, black on, black on, black on, black on. So it's like shuttering. And then you can do both at the same time. You can change. So it's totally to mimic like if somebody passes in front of a goalkeeper or something. Number one, I think that anybody out there with any conditions, don't use this, okay? And everybody can get mad at me, but it was kind of interesting. And I was like, it's just such a different world when you see such a young goalkeeper coach, and Juan is awesome. I love him. But just the gadgets and the this and that and the other. And I was like, my mentality was like, I just use a person to kind of pass in front of the goalkeeper, but it was kind of an interesting thing. And I was watching his goalkeepers like with him on and watching them kind of struggle to do like normal drills because you have this quick like blackness in your face. It was interesting.
I gotta check that out. It's so funny that you bring that up because speaking of gadgets and stuff, Anna, you and your dad, I remember I did a virtual session with you. You might as well have been a studio film. You guys had like a full-on production crew out there.
Yeah, we have quite a lot, like so many different, like not necessarily gadgets, but just different things you wouldn't think about. Like we have a full body pad to just like
to hit people. Yeah, I think I'm old school. And that'll never change. I think that, everybody knows how I feel about big, giant blow-up dummies and stuff. I think that they're great when you don't have the access to extra people and stuff. But I'm like old school in the sense, like throw a body in there, throw somebody that can actually read it, like deflect the ball and like do stuff that is more game realistic. And I'm not taking anything away from Juan's awesome gadget. I think that I think I'm still blinking from it, but it's interesting to see what's out there. And I think a good thing is for us and you as well, because you're using some of these things and you're showing them is for us to kind of like say what good things are and what bad things are. Like there's a lot of, what do you call it? There's a lot of, crazy hoopla, like, stuff that you don't want to get involved with and spend your money on. And then there's stuff that's legitimate and serves a purpose. And I think that it's important that for us and for you with your amazing podcast, that we kind of filter those things out.
So let's talk a little bit about that, Anna, because I think maybe some of the people out there who might not be familiar with what you do, they're just like, is she a contest winner? Like, who is she exactly? Because like, it just looks like an insider, like won a contest to like be on the show today. But actually, you're an accomplished podcaster yourself. So kind of tell us a little bit about Keep the Game Beautiful and how it all came to be.
Yeah, so I have a podcast, Keep the Game Beautiful. We actually just finished a full year of releasing episodes around September.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you. We actually started that on my birthday. And I actually came up with the idea at the tournament where this picture in the background was taken. And it was something I was on concussion protocol and I wasn't doing much. It was up in Chicago. I came to support my team, but I didn't really know what to do. And I was actually watching a lot of games and I heard a lot of negativity. And I just wanted to highlight the positive. And we had been listening to a lot of podcasts, especially in the ride to Chicago and from, and it just kind of came to me. I was like, keep the game beautiful. And I don't know, I just like
I love
the idea just
I
came.
love it. I absolutely love it.
You know,
But
and
it's
then,
a
like,
great basis for anything because even for us, I think in the the metamorphosis of our podcast and everything like that, that went from kind of like critiquing goalkeepers and games and stuff and turned more into what we're doing right now. It is about that, and there's so much negativity and everything with goalkeeping. It's a tough place to be, and I think to keep the game beautiful, not only for goalkeepers but for all players, it's such a simple concept, but it actually needs to happen.
yeah. And I think one of the really cool things, you know, Anna, is that it's coming from, I mean, no disrespect, someone your age, as opposed to from me or Saskia or something like that. Because, like, you know, I think there's kind of this tendency, you know, in point of view of the younger generation to be like, oh, they're all about themselves,
Absolutely.
and it's all about, you know, like, what can I do, how great I am, top hand save, you know, look at this incredible side volley that I made, right? All that sort of stuff. You know, and then just for you to have that type of, you know, maturity, you know, and just that empathy at your age, you know, to be able to, you started this before you were even in high school, right?
It was my freshman year, so I was like a
Okay.
month into high school.
Oh my gosh.
Love
That's
it.
that's incredible. So let's talk a little bit about this right now here. In regards to, obviously, with what you do with the podcast, you know, it's you're showcasing a lot of the positive aspects of what's going on in the game, and I think you even had Omar on, and you had him talk about Islam and everything, because I thought that was really a fascinating episode because it allowed him to be open and honest in regards to his faith in a way that a lot of times he doesn't feel, I don't want to put words in his mouth or whatever, but, you know, people aren't asking him questions, or, you know, or just they're making assumptions or whatever without really getting to know. And one of the really cool things about the podcast is that it's allowing you to utilize skill sets that you've learned. And Saskia and I, we've talked about this before. Goalkeepers, the skill sets that you learn on the field, you know, translated over off the field. So, like, what are some of those skill sets you think that have kind of made this successful podcast for you?
Well, definitely communication. Like on the field, you need to be short and quick, but talking like on the podcast, it's more of like conversational. And that was kind of a weird like change for me, but now I do feel more willing and confident to talk. And also confidence, like this, I get so much praise for the podcast and so many people that enjoy the podcast. And that definitely brings me up a level or just makes me think about that I actually could do this and that can translate on the field. I've definitely had a struggle with confidence and the podcast has definitely helped. It's not a solver, but it has helped.
Yeah.
Well,
I think you just,
I would assume that, like, look, you know, most young goalkeepers out there have to realize that whether you wear captain's armband or not, and I've said this so many times, that you are a leader on the field, and you have to organize, you have to feel confident, giving information, understanding the information you're giving, and I think that this forum for you just like kind of reaffirms that. It gives you more confidence in what you're saying, and doing your research and watching soccer and understand what you're talking about and stuff will only translate onto the field. So it's both ways.
yeah, I mean, I think one of the great things about this, Anna, is that I think, you know, and just not just to toot your own horn, you know, like, or toot your horn or whatever, like, well, while we're here, but since we have you, we're going to praise you. Is that, you know, what you're learning in regards to what you were talking about, like, you know, conversational contact. Well, okay, the more comfortable you get in those types of scenarios, when you go into job interviews, when you get older, or even when you were going through the whole college recruiting process and everything like that, talking to coaches. I remember how scary that was for me, because these were adults and I didn't know how to talk to them, so you're kind of ahead of that in that regard. But I think one of the really cool things about it is that it's not just a soccer podcast. It's not just you just like, oh, here's a weekend in EPL or NWSL or whatever, but it's more like highlighting kind of like the humanity of the game. And not only that, you practice what you preach, like, I mean, one of the cool things about this, and Saskia, I'll say, is what was the name of the storm you guys had? It was not a hurricane.
It was a derecho, an inland hurricane. Okay.
With the derecho, and then I'll say derecho because Saskia loves it when I do the accents.
Oh my
God. With the derecho, and you were absolutely able to use, kind of, I don't want to say your celebrity or, but kind of like, the network that you have because of the podcast to really help get some needed aid to some people, that were in a really tough situation. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I started volunteering maybe like a week or so after the storm, and it was kind of, I actually didn't want to be there. I'd actually just finished helping coach a goalkeeper camp, and I was tired and exhausted, but we didn't have air conditioning at home, and this volunteer place did have air conditioning, so I was like, might as well, I guess, free water and air conditioning. So then I started doing it, and I didn't stop. And I learned so much throughout those weeks, especially conversation skills. Because before that, I was well-spoken, but not to the level I feel like I am today. Because I could kind of talk, but my conversations would kind of just come to an end really quickly. But now I feel like I can carry on a conversation, and it definitely has helped my podcast quality. I do feel way better after recording podcasts just because I feel so much more well-spoken and professional.
I mean, look, like I'm in awe of this, and I know Saskia is so proud when she sees, young goalkeepers, with all of this, because like, and by the way, I love the fact that you said the air conditioning and the water thing, because like, it sometimes it's something as simple as that. It will lead you to this journey that you didn't even expect, was going to happen, type of a thing. I mean, Saskia, I mean, she answered a text from me, and next thing we're partners in this whole.
We had known each other. I answered a text. He asked me to come on, and then I wouldn't let him leave me alone. I was like, "Can I come on again? Can I come on next show? Can I come on the show?" I have lots of opinions, Mike. Yeah. And here I am, co-host.
Let's talk a little bit about, kind of like how goalkeepers can kind of get involved in the community. Obviously, the storm, that's kind of an extreme example. And but you've actually showcased a few other opportunities that a lot of young goalkeepers can do on their own. So like, what are some of the ones that either you've taken to, or that you've seen other goalkeepers go after?
Yeah, a lot of my life I've actually been volunteering and helping others. When I was younger, we had bees, and I sold honey, and I gave them to a children's. I gave all the proceeds to like a children's food shelter area.
I can't.
And
I know, and you kids today, you guys are so incredible.
I can't.
So far ahead of where I was, at least at my generation.
So
I don't know about
you sold the honey to the children. Wait, what'd you do?
I sold honey to everyone, and all of the proceeds went to this shelter for food that gave out like bags to children when they went home for the weekends or after school that needed the food.
I mean, I was climbing trees and falling out. Like, I know, I love it. And, but that mentality doesn't come along that often. And you brought up Jamie, Michael, and stuff like that. There's certain people that we've met that are young goalkeepers and stuff that, are on your same page. And it's absolutely humbling and amazing. And I just want to hear more stories. So I love it.
Yeah. So anyway, after the bees and
after
honey,
the bees.
And then I also was like biking. They did like a bike, and I still don't remember how it worked exactly, but you would like pledge a certain amount of money for each mile you biked. And my dad and I went up to 75 miles, I think. and we would wake up at like 5 a.m. in the morning and start going, and we get home at like 5 p.m. completely exhausted. And
I
we did
bet.
this, like, every year until we moved.
That's
And then
amazing. Go ahead.
Awesome.
I have more. It
Yeah,
keeps
keep
on
going.
going.
This is your show.
Bring
This is
it.
your show.
Yeah, I'm just sitting back feeling lazy. Go ahead.
And then I actually do a lot with AYSO now, which I'll share. And I volunteer referee. I haven't been doing as much this year, but the past few years I've been volunteering every Saturday, refereeing, coaching my brother's team. And then we also do AYSO VIP, which is basically my calling, I think. It's the thing I love to do. What makes me go to the soccer fields every Saturday, I think.
I love earlier in the statement she goes, so when I was younger.
Yeah. When I was younger, 6 months ago.
Earlier in my life when I was younger. Oh my goodness. Tell me about the AYSO VIP. I don't know what that is.
So it's adaptive and inclusive soccer. So we have kids with cognitive impairments and physical impairments. Sometimes they have braces and they can't walk well. And we have been trying to get more going with wheelchair soccer, but it hasn't really picked up yet. And it's just so much fun. We meet every Saturday. It's a game, we call it, but it's basically kicking around a ball. We play sharks and minnows as a favorite, and then we scrimmage at the end. And the ultimate goal is that everyone scores. We want everyone to score before we leave, and it's just to have fun too.
Jeez Louise, I mean, like,
Oh my
you're like a mini Tristan Stuteville,
I mean, hey Tristan. I mean, who I'm talking to tomorrow. Amazing. But you know what? What's amazing about it is that it's innate in you. It's not like an effort, a second thought. It's who you are, what you believe in, and just finding a way to constantly give back and change people's lives. And that is, I want to say it's rare. I hope it's not that rare, but it's so impressive.
Well, I mean, I think we're really fortunate in regards to with the network that we've had now with the podcast and everything, and is that we've been able to come across, people such as yourself. Shout out to Jamie Campbell, for instance, and the entire Campbell clan. I mean, they're doing fantastic stuff here in Southern California in a very similar regard. And Jamie, if you had a podcast, we'd have you on the show right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't be on, but absolutely.
And also shout out to Dylan Mapson, Keepers Care for Kids, with the cancer.
And Tristan.
And Tristan. I mean, my gosh, I mean, the list goes on and on. But I think honestly, Anna, everything that you're talking about, how effortless it sounds, that showcases why you're the level goalkeeper that you are as well too. Because if you didn't have those type of intangible qualities inside yourself, you would be a shell of the goalkeeper that you are out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for instance, like, a lot of people are not familiar with this, but like, a lot of people complain and they go, oh, I don't have the resources, or I don't live in an area where there's a big club or whatever. And you said, you know what, that doesn't matter to me. So why don't you tell people a little bit about kind of your situation, how you were kind of, I don't want to say in a rural area, but in an area that didn't have a big club. And you said, I want to get to that next level. So I'm going to do what I need to do to get there.
Yeah, so we have about 3 clubs in the area. I played at one and it was not a positive experience for me. It really started my confidence downhill. And then I played at another, and again, it wasn't a positive experience. I felt like I was losing more than I was gaining. And the other club I considered, but it wasn't my playing style, and I didn't feel welcome really in that club, in that area. So I didn't really know what to do. I actually tried out for ODP. I was like, this is what I need to do. Even though some of the girls on the team are trying out and that made the team were actually on my past teams that did give me the negative experience. But that's what I wanted to do, and I worked for that. And unfortunately, I actually did not make it into ODP, but that is actually a huge motivator for me to keep going, and I want to keep trying to get that next level.
No. And I think one of the things that I really love about the fact too is that, like, I think, obviously your dad is behind the scenes. He's like the Wizard of Oz right now with all the engineering gizmos and gadgets behind him. But shout out to Dan in regards to the fact that I think your dad has been showing you the right path. And I think a lot more, youth parents out there kind of need to hear that, Saskia, is, like, encourage your kids and give them the tools, but don't try to live vicariously through them. You know, your dad is very much about like, he's like, for instance, like there'd be a lot of parents, they'd be on the air right now, you know, talking about how wonderful they are. And, you know, you would just kind of be there. But, you know, even before the podcast started, you know, I was like, hey, Dan, do you want to come on? And your dad's like, no, Anna's got this, you know, which I just think is really impressive, you know.
Or parents talking about how great their daughter is, like not letting them have their own voice, you know. And I would tell you in a heartbeat, the person that you are, I could care less if you made OTP and stuff like that. I would take your character and your passion and your hindsight, everything over anything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny relationship my dad and I have, and it's definitely been hard, but it's getting easier and better throughout our experience with the podcast and everything too.
They're still parents.
How was it hard? Was he micromanaging at first?
He doesn't really micromanage. Sometimes we just like to bicker a lot. Our personalities, they clash a little bit, I would say. We're really close, but they still kind of, there's always the moody teenager in me too, so.
That's all right. And there's always the parent.
Exactly. So let me ask you, Anna, in regards to that, since you've been kind of having this relationship with your dad, and instead of having your dad speak for you, you know, I want to hear your perspective as a young goalkeeper, because we talk about this on the podcast all the time, you know, what the role of the youth parent should be. You know, you as a youth player right now, you know, who's at the age of a lot of people who listen to the show, what do you think the role of the parent should be?
I think just supporting the goalkeeper the best they can. Of course, not micromanaging or like telling them what to do, but encouraging them to go train. But if they don't want to do the training, they're not going to enjoy the training. They're not going to get anything out of training or working out or trying to get better if they don't want to do it. So giving that encouragement push, but if they don't want to, maybe it's just not for them. Maybe it's not their day or their week too.
Yeah. I like how Saskia's going like, I think.
No, absolutely. My parents were the same way. I mean, trust me. How do I say that? As I got more successful, they never micromanaged. If I didn't want to do, they would look at me and say, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But with that comes some reverse psychology in a sense as well. Like, why did you have a bad game? Or why is this feeling? Like, look into it. Like, have you given all you can do? Have you like exacerbated all of your resources and stuff like that? They're here for you. We've given them to you. That's up to you. You know, it's not for me to grab you by the back of the head and put you into this. If you don't want to do it, fine. But then don't come crying to me when you're not playing that well, you know, or when you're not fit enough or something like that. So there's a way to handle that as a parent. I think that, you know, that's how my parents handled it. And I made my decisions. And obviously that was successful, but, I agree with you 100%. Like, you don't want that, you know, parents out there, don't micromanage. First of all, you don't know things. Like, let their coaches coach, you know, and you're not, if you need your kid to be more fit, don't become the fitness coach. Like, go get them one if you can, like, or talk to their coach and get more, like, you know, but you have those weekend warrior parents out there that think they know everything and they know soccer better than the coaches or the referees or this and that and the other. And you don't, else you'd be doing it. So just chill, you know, let your kid fail. It's okay. That's how they learn.
I think that's the hardest thing. And I'm sure you've been in that environment before too, where you've seen, you know, players, you know, and you don't have to name anybody or off the bat or anything like that, or any parents or whatever, but I'm sure you've seen players in your past where you kind of go like, oh, like, is this them, or is this their mom or dad that is doing this right now? You know, are they here helping me with el derecho, the derecho?
Oh my God. Sorry. So I'm sorry. I'll apologize for him.
With the el derecho storm relief, or is it because their parents wanted them to help for the el derecho storm relief? Like, are they there because like their parents are like, oh, this is going to look good on a resume or something like that, as opposed to like, you know? And I think that right there shows a difference in your character, when you're like, oh, I want to go out there, because they've got free air conditioning and they've got water and everything. No,
Yeah,
but
the
go
extra
ahead.
food I get too helps.
Well, yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of like what that entailed in regards to the relief thing? Because like I saw some pictures, and I don't know if you have any pictures that you want to show or whatever, but like it looked like you were literally out there like rebuilding homes. And I'm like, when is she going to find time for training? Like, is this her fitness training for the week? Is helping put together the homes?
So I actually did a lot of the office work, but I did do a few jobs like chainsaw work out and about with my dad.
Wait, what? Chainsaw work?
I didn't have the chainsaw. It was my
Okay.
dad. I kind of no. Chainsaws kind of freak me out. He had a few minor injuries, and they were still very minor, but no, not my thing. So I stayed in the office kind of doing all of that work, kind of managing everything, actually managing the volunteers and making sure they signed in, they had the volunteer sticker. We would send people out and loan out chainsaws to different people to go out and about and chainsaw or tarp roofs and also deliver food. That was one of the hardest things, to get all the deliveries laid out and everything.
Don't give me a chainsaw.
No.
No, a hammer and a nail, yes. I can build things. Don't give me a chainsaw. I
don't like any. I don't like any.
There will be an injury.
Yeah.
There will be an injury.
Yeah, I've remembered when like people have like given me like a saw. They're like, here, just can you here hand me that saw? And I'm like, I really don't want to hand.
Yeah, don't cut towards your leg.
Yeah. Take that away.
She's like, don't cut towards your leg. I do know that one.
Yeah,
Oh my God. Wood shop was the most.
I like the wood shop, but that wasn't chainsaws.
No, that was but those were the buzz saws and stuff.
Yeah,
like
but they were like controlled.
Attached.
They were like
Yeah.
in a machine, and you just went like that.
Oh, you just didn't want like this kind of thing going on right here. I don't know what that is.
Chainsaw, like. Never mind.
By the way, Anna, based on the office work that you were describing right there, you are completely prepared to be an assistant coach in college, based on all the office work that you just.
That's
described
huge.
Right yeah,
that's huge. Because I can't do office work, and if UCLA is watching right now, you are well aware of it. I'm like, oh.
Hold on, we have a comment in the comment section right now, and this comment comes from Dan Tuuri, and Dan goes, I'd asked Anna if she'd rather learn to cut with a chainsaw from Stan Anderson or Eric Weiberg. Never gave an answer.
Neither. Neither.
From neither.
There was a time he was up in a tree and he starts to he's getting down, and then he's on the ground now and he starts to fall, and he throws the chainsaw away from him, but it's still connected to him. So it was off, but it would still if you think about it, he throws it away, it just comes back.
Sorry. Yeah,
that's
so
okay.
if
The dogs are excited.
Yeah, so if you landed on it, it's still a problem.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't on. No, I get that. Oh my goodness gracious.
I want to ask you about this, because the thing is, you just brought up Stan Anderson and Eric Weiberg, obviously the Camp Shutout connection right there. I think one of the ways that you kind of connected is all through social media and everything like that. And that's how you ended up going to the camps and all that, right?
Camp Shutout, I think my dad saw it on social media somewhere. I actually don't remember that. That seems like so long ago. But my first Camp Shutout, I think we just signed up, and it was something like, do you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, sure. Because my brother and my dad went to a big trip to Finland. So it was kind of like my big thing for the year. And it was actually so much fun. And I just wanted to keep on going.
I think that personally, and Saskia, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think, those camp environments, regardless of what type of a camp it is, and, you even discussed it in regards to even with the virtual camps, of just getting that experience of just, working with new players that you don't see constantly over and over again is just so wonderful, because, Anna, like I said, your network expands when you go to those camps, and the people that you meet at that camp, whether they're going to help you in a charity endeavor one day, or, run a nonprofit that you're going to, be running globally, one day, or part of your podcast network or whatever type of a thing, those relationships extend off of just the soccer field. People that I met at camp, I've done things off the soccer fields so many other times, and I think the really cool thing about that is with social media now is that it's a lot easier for you guys to stay in touch, right?
Yeah, it is so much easier to stay in touch and just talk about what's happening if you're going next year. And it is all about those memories outside of the field, like the memories we had at the hotel, just walking around and talking and eating food and sharing the giant pizza as big as our heads.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think, my parents shipped me off to Holland for camp when I was a kid, which obviously was the beginning of creating my career. But I think that those memories from camp are incredible, and I think that when the world opens back up again, it is a good thing. It also shows you that you're not alone out there. We get so insulated in our communities and where we're playing, and the people around us that are other soccer players, and the negativity, as you brought up, with other teams, and to get out and meet kids from all over the country and the world, and to be able to share those stories and to see that you're not alone in struggles like that, and to find lifelong friends is incredibly important. And to get away from your parents, to get away from your parents and just focus on coaching and soccer, and not have to hear it and everything, and just get up and be self-sufficient. It's a great experience. Absolutely.
One of the ways that you said you've been giving back, Anna, and I think a lot of this has to do with the camp experiences that you had, is obviously, like you said, you're doing the AYSO VIP, and that you've even expressed in the future is that coaching is a path that you might want to take, and you said a lot of that is from going to camp and seeing, and the connection that you had with the coaches made you say, you know what, this is a way that I know I can give back to the game.
Yeah, different coaches. Like I've definitely gotten a lot of my run for coaching based off actually bad coaches I've had and styles I haven't liked, or negativity I've received that just wasn't what led me to do better. And that just kind of was my main driver. And then it was just finding the love for coaching and the love for the game, and so many, just like, I especially love the little kids and just teaching them how to correctly kick a ball, and making up these fun little games where they're running around and screaming and chasing after all of the balls. It's just so much fun in moments like that.
Do you think, Anna, do you think that's the best way for young goalkeepers to kind of give back? The easiest way is to just start helping out with coaching?
I think it is a very easy way to just get involved and stay active too, and learn more about the game, because you learn so much about yourself in terms of playing when you coach. When you learn about your coaching style, and then you see things that you might be doing in other players, and it just kind of like, it was a spark for me when I first saw some of those things that didn't look technically right, or were hurting their knees or their ankles. It just made me think about it and see it in my game now, and I can also, as a coach, see it from the goalkeeper's perspective, so I can help them coach through that. And being a goalkeeper, I think, is so helpful for those players, especially just learning how to properly catch the ball or properly throw the ball.
I think you're going to have. I think you're in such a good position. This is what I've been trying to get out of my young goalkeepers. Saskia, I don't know about you, but is that whole, I want my goalkeepers to want to do that. I want my goalkeepers to be able to go out there and work with others, and Saskia, we even talked, a couple of weeks ago with Gabby, Garden, who's playing in Australia, in regards to just, the younger pros and the collegiate players and stuff like that, giving back to the community and helping out with the academies and all that, and how important that is.
Yeah, I think that there's, like, even with when I was with LA Bulls here, like, we would have the O2s, the older kids mentor the younger kids, like, come out to a practice. It wasn't every week, whether it was once a month or twice a month. But it's that sense of responsibility and understanding, like, look, you might not go on to be a pro soccer player, but what you do in life and the person that you are resonates. And people look at it, and these little kids are looking at it. They see. So they see the way you act. They see the way you handle yourself. And like, making somebody responsible for that, even in a little way, goes on to everything in life. It takes away that sense of selfishness, and those aren't my kids, by the way. They're not. So, sense of selfishness and stuff like that, and it makes you responsible. I always go back to that thing, like, when people say they're an athlete, but they're not a role model, I disagree with that. You are a role model on every level. Whether you're a young kid and their kids younger than you in a club looking up to you, you don't know. So handle yourself, carry yourself appropriately, the way you should. And I think that coaching and I think that getting involved with that forces that in a sense. It teaches you that.
Yeah. And I want to say this, Saskia, I love how you brought up a great point in regards to being the role model, because, I think a lot of times, Anna, with somebody yourself, like, oh, I'm 14 years old, like, I mean, what the heck, why should these kids be looking up to me type of a thing? But, like, if you put yourself in the shoes of being 6 or 7 or 8 years old or whatever, you are an elder statesman to them.
They don't care who I am. They don't care. They don't care that I won a World Cup in 1999. They do care about Jessica, who's the starting goalkeeper for the oldest team in their club. And they see her every day at practice. They look up to her.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And young kids your age, and I don't want to say kids, I'm sorry, young goalkeepers that are in your age bracket need to understand that every time you step on that pitch, it's not just about you, but it's about what you're presenting out there. You don't know who's seeing that and how they're going to take it, and that's whether that's, potential coaches for a team you're going to play for in the future, or whether that's young kids, and I think, like Saskia said, I don't care about you getting cut by ODP. Your character right there already shows me, what type of a person you are, and then the goalkeeper is only going to be the gravy on the top type of a thing, So, I want to talk about that, because the thing is that, like, a lot of young people your age, we were talking about that, is they utilize social media to show how great they are. And you have utilized social media to show how great others are. And really kudos to you, Was that something that was intentional on your part, or was it something that just kind of happened naturally because that's just who you are?
I think it just happened. I've never been one, like, when I get compliments, I'm kind of like, thank you. Like, I don't know how to respond. I don't really like getting compliments. I don't like being the center of attention all the time. And it's just always been my personality and the way I've treated others, all the time I've spent helping others and putting others before myself. And I think it just happened. Like, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't even a goal. It developed, and I don't even really know why.
Yeah. I think one thing that, that happens a lot of times, and Anna, I'll be straight up honest with you, and, like, this is no disrespect to you whatsoever. It's just, I think it's the point of view is that everyone, older people, when they see a social media account by somebody younger, and they're so, philanthropic, and they're so, so about showcasing other things or whatever, they go, oh, she's not running it. She's not doing it. That's her parents doing it, and they're using this to showcase, how wonderful a person she is, under this type of guise and stuff like that, how difficult and how frustrating is that for people to be like, hey, this isn't Dan, this is me doing this?
It is frustrating, but I don't let it get to me, because I'm changing, like, the status quo, supposedly. Like, normally kids my age aren't doing a lot. There are many that are doing a lot, but the thought that you get when you think of a teenager, you think of someone Xboxing or gaming or laying in bed watching something on their computer. And I try not to let it get to me, and I don't think about it too much. I'm kind and patient with them. This is my podcast. This is what I do. This isn't a school project. This is my idea, and I put a lot of work and effort into it. And that did happen at convention quite a lot too. Like, my dad would be at the bathroom, and I would be sitting at the table, and someone would come up, "Is this your dad? Is this your mom or dad's podcast, honey?" Like, nope, this is all mine. This is all of my work, and I'd love for you to listen to it.
Yeah. Oh, are they going to say that to me? Okay. Honey, is this your grandson's podcast? I'm just kidding. The opposite.
But that is really true, Anna. And I think it's just because people, it's about changing the perception. I mean, people think, like, if she's not dancing on TikTok, well, then why would she even want to be
right? If she's doing something serious.
If she's serious. And my favorite is like, oh, this must be a school project, because
Yeah,
why else would anyone your age?
But that's also, those people have to take inventory on themselves in that moment, because I'm sorry that if your kid is dancing on TikTok and you can't imagine that your son or daughter can put this together and do something that's changing the world and do something this important. Well, that's not your problem, Anna. That's their problem. And if they can't grasp that, sorry.
Yeah. And I got a question for you. So like, if there's hopefully, there's gonna be a lot of young goalkeepers who are gonna listen to this and be like, oh, maybe I'm gonna stop showing those top hand saves of me, skipping balls off the ocean.
What is up with you with top hand saves today?
I don't know. It's just, I think it's my general like stereotype of like somebody trying to be flashy is a top hand save.
Sometimes you need a top hand.
No,
save.
I know.
Okay, just going on.
I know. Do you need a slow motion top hand save on Instagram?
No, I get your point. Okay.
Yeah. But they're gonna see you and they'll be like, oh, maybe I can do a little bit more. So like, what advice do you give like young goalkeepers who kind of either want to start a podcast or they want to get involved in journalism in some aspect?
I think it's all about the community. The community on Twitter has given me so much. I've reached out to so many different people, and they've been so positive and uplifting about this, because this is such a cool thing. And sometimes guests are kind of like unsure at first. They're unsure if I'm going to be mature about it, if they're unsure if it's actually going to turn out good. But after they find out that I'm actually mature and I actually prepared, they're more willing to actually help me and to help me succeed and get more guests and throw out ideas for me of things I could do in the future in terms of journalism or where I could go with the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like, I can't even imagine just, I mean, like, I even remember just when starting a podcast, being an older person and being like, having to prove to people that like, this is worth their time. Like, I'm sure with you, like, it was how long did it take to start convincing people, that like, that it was worth their time and that their story was going to be represented appropriately? Because I think that might be also one of the issues. And Saskia, and I don't know if that's something that you might even see too, is that people would think that like, oh, this sounds like a great idea. My worry is that because it's a younger person, my story is going to be either misrepresented or it's not going to be put in the proper light or as profound as it should be.
See, I never thought about that. I think that these kids know more than we do, and I'm just like privileged to be on their podcast. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, these kids got it, and so I look at it the opposite way, honestly.
Yeah.
I think I've had a few people like unsure at first. They might start out a little more like not sharing very much or a little more tense, but it's kind of just breaking that bubble, showing them, especially like what I love to do at the beginning is an introduction, just showing that I did my research and that I know about them and that I'm prepared for what we're about to talk about. And it's just coming in mature. If I come in kind of like slouched, like, don't want to be there, then they're not gonna have fun either. It's all about creating the environment and knowing that my age for me doesn't affect anything and that my age is just a number. For some people, they might kind of take it a different way, but for me, it's just knowing that this person might be 30 years older than me, but it's just a normal conversation.
And how excited were you when you were, because you went to the first time that the United Soccer Coaches invited you to present at convention, you were 13? Is that how old you were?
Maybe I was 14. I don't remember.
Maybe
yeah,
okay.
I was
Maybe you were 14. Were you kind of in shock because like then you get to the convention and you got Sirius XM radio right next to you, and you've got the Cooligans right there in Total Soccer Show, and inside the 18, all the big deals are there at convention, right next to you. Was it a little intimidating for you, or did you go like, no, you know what, I'm here because just the same thing as like when you're in a position, on the field and you're playing for a certain team, you're there because you're of the level?
At first, I was definitely nervous, but then once I got there, I was kind of just pushing myself in. And actually, when I first got there, I had a really bad podcast. Internet had went out on all of my questions I prepared and everything were like completely trashed. And that kind of set me down for a little bit. But then I did some walking And Jeff Van Dusen literally told all of his staff about me. So while I was walking around, I had like 5 people stop me. Oh my gosh, I love your podcast. I love your idea. I love your love for the game. And it just kind of it brought out something in me that like, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I'm here. And it was definitely different to see me there because I was the only young one there. And everyone came up to me with a different thought and maybe this isn't hers. But then I gave them a confident talk about why I'm doing this, what I'm doing, and suddenly I had a new listener.
Nice.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and by the way, they put her right next to Glenn Crooks. So if you're next to like a legend like Glenn Crooks,
oh my
you know,
God.
then you got to be doing, you got to be doing something.
Hi, Glenn. No, Glenn's awesome. You know.
I know.
Jersey.
You Jersey guys, you get banter back and forth between you guys all the time. Anna, one thing is that is it more difficult, you think, in the nonprofit helping out with the charities and the donations to be taken seriously when you're younger, or is it more difficult in media?
I think it's harder actually in like the nonprofit side because in media there have been changes. There's been so many different people doing amazing things, and my thoughts are already kind of laid out on my Twitter page showing that I am a good person. And of course, people can take it how they take it, but I do have like a presence on social media. But with like the nonprofit, I go in not even knowing who I'm going to talk to that day, what I'm going to even do that day. So it's kind of people coming in thinking I'm just sitting there because my mom or dad is out volunteering or something. And it's just, again, breaking that barrier. For a while, it was kind of like we had a running joke that I was the CEO. So for a while there, people did take me very seriously because they would be like, is the CEO here? I'd be like, yep, that's me. And they were like, no way. It's like, yeah.
Imagine when people say that to you when they're trying to find Serena Williams' kid for LA, for Angel City FC. They're like, have you spoken to the 2-year-old yet? I'm like, it's a joke. Yeah, because she's one of the co-owners.
That's right. We should have her on to talk about, young entrepreneurs.
It's a cute joke. Everybody loves to say it to me. It's like this running thing. I'm like, all right, I get it. Stop.
I mean, I would say the number one thing that you probably had to deal with, Anna, that's probably been the trickiest road to navigate has been trying to get Omar on time to your podcast. I think that was probably.
Honestly, I remember talking to him, but I don't remember even when it was. That's like, after I do a podcast, I remember what I learned, but then kind of like the other facts just slip away.
Omar's great. He probably had a great background.
I'm sure
ready to go for you.
He had a lovely background. No, but the thing is that I love that you said that, Anna, in regards to, because I think if you keep, just like games, right? If you keep dwelling on what you just did, whether it was positive, whether it was negative or whatever, you're not really moving forward, because you're living in the past type of thing. And I think that's a very healthy attitude that you have, that you kind of, you move on. Okay, well, I've got so-and-so and I got to prepare for them, just like I've got another game. As Bill Belichick says, we're on to Arizona. It's probably not going to go well this weekend, but still, so.
Shouldn't have let go of Tom Brady.
No.
All right. Sorry.
No. It's okay. If we want to go down an NFL route,
I'm like, oh my God, everything just blew up. No, just kidding.
Rabbit hole on there. So Anna, let me ask you this: like, what skills or education do you think are best? Because I think the thing is that it's cool to do all these things, and a lot of people are probably like, hey, I want to do all that, but they don't even know how to get started in regards to. Because you obviously had to do some education on your part. You had to, I remember talking to your dad earlier, and you were mentioning H6 zoom here, and, we're using this Black Magic pocket camera here, and, the 3-wire split here, and this Mevo here, or whatever. How important is it for yourself to educate yourself, whether it's going on YouTube tutorials, taking courses at a local community college or whatever, if you really want to do this?
It is very important. There is a lot of work that goes into editing. And honestly, my dad, does most of the editing and the technological work. And I've kind of been talking to him a few times about teaching me how, but still haven't gotten there yet. But it's still also like working with like the computer screen and Zoom and how you're going to record it. So I remember my first ever podcast with Christina Uncle. I actually came home from school to do it. I was so excited. And then afterwards, I didn't think we recorded. So I was freaking out. I was running around the house trying to get a hold of my dad, who was probably in a meeting or something. And I didn't remember, and that was like such a stressor on me because I didn't know the technology well and I didn't know what I was doing. So especially going into that, if I knew exactly what I was doing, I feel like it would have been easier for me to focus on the conversation and on what's going on right there.
Yeah, you sound like me with the trial and
Yeah,
error.
I was about to say that Mike does all that.
But I'll do it. I'll be like, oh, I thought that was great, and then all of a sudden the audio's like really bad, and I'm like, oh, well, I didn't learn like that. My favorite though is like Omar will just be like, he's like, yeah, you just got to do trial and error, man. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a great way to go about it. He's like,
My favorite is that you constantly text me to turn off my fan because I can't hear. It's like the dryer's on. I'm like, oh, here comes Mike. Yeah,
see,
that's
why Anna
wizard.
That's why she volunteered at the for the Data Show aid program, because they've got the air conditioner, so she doesn't have to worry about the fan being on when she's doing the podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why you got going on. Are there any classes that you would recommend, Anna, like in school that for kids to really focus on or whatever, or extracurriculars or whatever? What do they call electives nowadays?
Yeah, I haven't actually taken many electives. I've kind of been like zooming through all of my main work and maybe in hopes of graduating early to go on the Australia trip that UWSP goes on.
Nice.
To what?
I said nice.
Oh, I was saying something else. I was like, what?
No.
And then
Nice.
It's just, I haven't been able to do much, but definitely I want to take a journalism class. I know my school has it, and that is something really interesting. Also, like just the mandatory like speech class, just working on the speaking, and I actually took that through the community college near us, and I got a lot more out of that because it was more on like the communication and oral communication instead of just speaking and not really the uncertainty of how my high school teacher would be.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do that, absolutely. You want to understand like what your sound bites are. You want to understand like all of that stuff. And if you could take those classes, you're just going to keep blossoming. You're doing great. Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, I mean, like if I was your age, like when I was your age, like to be on a podcast for an hour, not only running my own podcast, but then going on somebody else's podcast and being on for an hour and being eloquent and articulate would not have happened. And if you watch one of Omar's interviews from when he was a freshman in high school, it did not go well. There's that video floating around, and he's really hoping someone takes that down at some point.
I was fine.
Well, but you've always.
I took speech in college too, man. Like, come on.
You did speech, you did psych, you did it all. Yeah, you did it all. Anna, as we start wrapping up right here, and again, by the way, shout out to I know it's your podcast and everything like that, but I do want to give a shout out to Dan, to your dad.
Absolutely.
Because he's putting you on the right path, and like they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree or whatever. Like the reason you are the person that you are is because you've been I don't want to say molded, but like you've been in an environment that has allowed you to express yourself in this way and explore in this direction and everything like that. So really shout out to Dan and for helping out with the podcast editing stuff. I wish my dad could do that.
Well, I mean, I think it's really important you say that, because like for parents out there watching and stuff like that, don't sit here and be like, why can't my kid be more
like Anna?
Like it doesn't work that way. Like, what are you doing that your kid isn't more like Anna? Like, and I don't mean to be rude or anything like that, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and the support you get from your family and your parents is paramount. It's paramount. And so take a pause, check yourself, and understand. Look, not every kid's going to have a podcast. Not everybody's going to be as absolutely incredible as Anna is, but they can be incredible in other forums and in other places. So what are you doing to give to your kid? Has nothing to do with soccer, has everything to do with life. What are you doing? Not why can't my kid be like that? What are you doing?
I think that's another great point, Saskia, that you just brought up right there in regards to if a parent sees somebody, whether it's Anna or another kid, and, you know, they're doing something that they wish their kid was doing, and go, oh, you know, you should do blah, 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 because I saw a kid your age doing, I hear this so much. I saw a kid your age doing blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe that's not how that kid's wired. And maybe that's not where those kids' talents lie, you know? Not everybody, you know, is cut out even to be a goalkeeper, for instance. And I see so many kids pushed into being a goalkeeper because their parent thought it was cool. They saw another kid their age doing it, and they're like, oh, that looks like fun. He's tall. Let me throw him in there or whatever, you know? And I think it's just so important.
Or
to
you just want your kid on the team.
Yeah.
You know, maybe your kid doesn't want to be on the team as a goalkeeper. Like maybe your kid's a surfer or a tennis player or something else. Talk to them.
Yeah. Like Anna's probably a surfer being in Iowa, I'm assuming.
They have wave pools.
Every day.
It could happen. I surf every day.
Wakeboarding. Wakeboarding.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was just an example.
I know.
I mean, I wasn't an avid surfer in Jersey either. So.
No, but you became a surfer in Florida.
Well, consider I was in Princeton, New Jersey. If I was at the shore, maybe I could have been. But
yeah.
Yes, and I did try. I floated on a board is what I did in Florida. I wouldn't call it surfing.
That getting up part is the hardest part. Do you guys wakeboard, Anna, in Iowa?
I mean, we got so off kilter right now.
I know. We're going to wrap up.
Well, I'm on a water ski team.
There you go.
Of course you are. Of course you are. Of course you are. She's also a NASA scientist, and you know,
with one ski, and I'm sure she's doing tricks and the flips and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, but that isn't. I mean, we're getting off key right here. I'm sure Anna's got so many activities. Guys, keep your kids doing multiple activities.
Absolutely.
We're trying to say right here. Anna, as we start wrapping up right now here, what kind does the future hold for not just, you know, your podcast, you know, but kind of, you know, yourself in general in the next year or so in regards to what kind of, you know, charities you're getting involved with, or like what stories you want to share and all that sort of stuff. And then we're going to let you plug away the podcast because we really want everybody to hear it.
Well, I would like to say really quick, UW is incredibly lucky to have you as committing. So, well, good on them. You're just going to you're just going to make them a better team and a better university. Well done.
Yeah.
So I think for the podcast in terms, I don't know exactly. I've had goals on who I want, and I do have some big names that I am excited to. And I don't know.
Who are your big names? Come on.
Yeah.
I really want to talk to Carly Lloyd sometime. That's like
Rutgers, Jersey. There we go.
I am in the works of hopefully reaching out to Bethany Balser soon. I really want to share her story on my podcast.
Okay.
Who else?
Who else?
Haley Rasso is another that I just want to share about her back injury and just the recovery from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that because I love that it's not like, oh, you know, I want Alex Morgan or I want this. You want to talk to Haley because of her back injury and find out her recovery. And like, there's more depth into it. Just saying, I want big names on my show. Like I want, you know, although Carly Lloyd's a huge name, but you know, Carly went through a lot of ups and downs herself, and she went through a lot of struggles to become the best player in the world, and kind of found herself in that journey. And so that's a great person to have on as well. But I really I applaud you in the sense of, you know, it's not that typical. I just want to meet famous people. You know, there's so much depth to what you're doing and so much importance to it that it's really incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I like, you know, the fact that you brought up Bethany Balser in regards to undrafted, you know, I think she was like a trialist, you know, she played NAIA. You know, and then ended up now in a national team pool. I mean, what a story! What a story she is. It's absolutely phenomenal. But you know, I think that's a really important thing, Anna. I think with anybody out there listening, whether you're a young player trying to start a podcast or anybody trying to do it, is that make sure that the reason you're having somebody on is because they're bringing something of substance that you want to share with the community. For instance, you know, if we just had, you know, every big goalkeeper in the world on the podcast, it wouldn't be the same show. because how much of it would just be the same thing over and over. So it's like, you want to find out more, like Saskia was saying, is like, you really, the human interest aspect, what makes people tick, and like what can they present, and all that sort of thing. So with that being said, Anna, where is the best place for people to connect with you, check out the podcast, when do you guys release, all of that sort of stuff, and what's your guys' next episode, so everyone can check it out?
So we release every Monday morning. So we have a weekly podcast every day. And this week we released Sky Eddie Bruce yesterday morning. And that was a really exciting one.
Guy! We grew up playing against each other. We know each other incredibly well. Like beyond, ODP, she went to UMass, I was at Rutgers, and she transferred. Like, we were competitors. We have known each other for life. I consider her a friend, a very good friend. And so that's awesome. I can't wait to watch it.
Should have known that. I could have asked more about that.
Yeah, I'm sure she might not say the nicest things about me, but that's okay. I'm just kidding. We were intense competitors against each other. Intense.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. So you got Sky. So every Monday, and where can everybody check it out, and where's the best place for people to connect with you?
So we have the website, keepthegamebeautiful.com, where we have every episode, I believe, or at least the most recent. And then on Twitter, it's KTG Beautiful. And my personal Twitter is Anna_Tuuri, TUURI. And then the same exact for Instagram, if I am correct.
You're the flip flop. You're the flip flop of Saskia. She'll know her Instagram, but the Twitter. Although I think they're the same.
They're all the same.
No, I know.
Everything's the same.
I know.
My Venmo is the same too.
Well, this is
just kidding.
So guys, if you want to send donations, it's at Sutton.
Yeah, right. Here's my Venmo. It's flashing across the screen right now.
Oh my gosh. Guys, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Enjoy your time with your family this week. This is the only episode we're doing this week. We're going to be taking some time off to enjoy some family time, catching up on some big projects that we got in the works and everything like that. If you guys have a guest suggestion or topic suggestion, contact at inside the18 media.com. Oh, Saskia, do you have
really quick? Everybody, please be safe.
Very smart.
Be smart.
Yes.
Be safe. Okay.
Yep.
Out there at this time, we know everybody wants to see their family, but let's do our due diligence. Okay.
Yep. You're correct. I should have brought that part up. So have a safe and healthy Thanksgiving at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms. That's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, everybody.